Hi, I'm Christine and welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to be talking about leaves, how to observe them so that you can both sketch them easier and identify them easier. And so I recommend doing what I just did. I went out and collected a whole bunch of leaves that I'm going to tell you about in a second. And I do that with a big bag, and I wet a paper towel and put it in there to keep the leaves fresh so they don't wilt, which is especially important in hot weather like we're experiencing right now in Central Oregon. So leaves are a great subject to learn sketching from because they're fairly flat and fairly easy to draw and the right size to put in your sketchbook. So I've gathered a variety of leaves that I'm going to tell you a bit about their anatomy, what to look for, what to notice while you're sketching them. And you can make it a fun contest to go collect leaves. If you have a sketching buddy or if you have a child or grandchild with you, you guys can have a little contest and see who can collect the most types of leaves. And you can get a lot of different types, different species of leaves, but it's also a fun contest to get a lot of the same kind of leaf in cases of like these aspens or these hollies, because each leaf is a different shape. As you can see here, each of those three leaves is shaped very differently, so they're great for practicing really your right brain drawing skills, slowing you down and really looking at each of those. And speaking of slowing down, you always want to observe first. You don't want to put the cart before the horse. Too many people just find something to draw, pick it up, and have barely even looked at it before they put their pencil to the paper. And so observing it really is half the battle. Just really slowly observing it. Even going around the edges. Even going around the edges very slowly as if you're an ant crawling along the edges and observing it is better than just starting out right away. You'll be so much happier you did. I also recommend you get some identification books for your local area. I've got these different sort of books or fold-out field guides, other types of guides. If you have something like that, it makes it much more fun when you're in the field to try to identify what you're sketching. And it makes it a lot easier if there's flowers or cones, if it's a conifer, on the plant or shrub or tree to identify it. But today we're just talking about leaves. So another hint, besides going very slowly and observing first, is to focus on, sorry, my mic here. Focus not on the product, but the process. Really think about what you're learning as you draw it. You could just crumple up your paper and throw it away when you're done sketching, and you still will have learned more about your subject than if you never would have drawn it at all. So especially if you're a beginning drawer who maybe claims to not be able to even draw a stick figure, that's a good way to go, is just focus on really the aspect of learning. Okay, well now we're going to switch over to the other side of my studio where I will give you a closer look at the leaves and what exactly to look at when you're sketching them. Hey there! So today I wanted to quickly go over some things to look at and notice about leaves when you're sketching them. Parts of the anatomy that will help you not only see what to draw, but also to possibly be able to identify the species that you're drawing. So when you first look at a leaf, there's three main parts. There's the petiole, which is also known as the stem, and it's longer in some plants and shorter in others. And then there is the petiole that continues on into the leaf and becomes the veins. And these veins are like our own veins and arteries that are bringing nutrients to the leaf. Then the main part of the leaf is called the blade. And that's where we'll focus more of our attention. There's lots of things to notice about the blades. So some blades have a quite plain shape. They might be sort of ovate or elliptical or kind of oblong like these. Or they might be more long and narrow like this one, or like in grasses like this. So that's what you want to do, is notice the overall shape. You'll also want to notice the pattern of the veins. So most plants' leaves have net-shaped veins that are kind of like your hand going out in from one direction, like little fingers. And then other plants have what we call parallel venation or parallel veins. And those are found in things like grasses and orchids, where all the veins are going in the same direction. So when we're looking at the shape of the leaf, we want to notice whether it is sort of one shape, or if there are some sort of extra shapes, let's say, inside of it. So for example, this leaf has big lobes on it. So things like maples and oaks have lots of lobes on their leaves. And you also want to notice the edge of the leaf and whether it's smooth, like this, again, like, well, that's not as smooth as other leaves could be. Oh, well, here we go. This is an example of a leaf that has, there's 3 leaflets to it, as well as each leaf being lobed and then with extra lobes. But along the margin or edge of that leaf, it's very smooth. Whereas this leaf has lots of little scallops in it. So you'll want to notice that as well. Another thing to notice is in terms of the petiole, we want to notice if it's round or if it's somewhat flattened. Again, using my little quaking aspen leaf, these have a flattened petiole. So if I tried to roll it in my hand, it would sort of resist because it's flattened. And that's thought to be the reason why the leaves are called quaking aspens, the tree, because they quake in the wind because of that flattened petiole. So that petiole might be round or it might be flattened. Okay, so other leaves are like this one, what we call compound, meaning that it looks like there's a lot of different leaves, but technically this is only one leaf. And so leaves can be compound like this. And here's another good example, is in the pea family, where there's lots of tiny little what we call leaflets. And you can tell what is technically a leaf versus a leaflet in that often if you have a compound leaf with lots of leaflets, at the very base of it, there will be these little things called stipules. If I tear it off, you can see it a little better here. There's these little things called stipules that are just little projections at the end. And that's where it joins the main stem. And everything farther out from that is considered one leaf. Another thing you can notice about leaves is their color. And they can have lots of different colors and also lots of different patterns within those colors. Now most leaves, since they're photosynthetic, they need to be at least partly green, but as the season progresses and they lose their chlorophyll, in the fall they will turn various beautiful shades of yellow and orange and red and brown. So you'll want to notice that. Another thing to notice is the texture. These leaves are quite shiny, whereas this mullein leaf here is really fuzzy, like a lamb's ear. There's actually a plant called the lamb's ear that's even fuzzier. You can also notice when you touch a leaf whether it's sticky or not. And there are leaves, plants like this beautiful local currant or gooseberry whose leaves are quite sticky. Now, you should be careful when you're collecting and touching leaves that you can tell the difference between things that are poisonous, like poison oak or poison ivy. You don't want to be touching those, else you'll be really sorry you did. And lastly, scent. Many leaves have either a pungent scent or a very clean scent or a minty scent, like the members of the mint family. And of course, many culinary herbs are in the mint family, and that's why they're such good herbs for putting in your food. Okay, so I think I've covered just about everything that you want to notice about a leaf as you're sketching it. Again, basically the stem of the leaf, called the petiole, and the veins of the leaf, whether they're net veined or parallel, and then the shape of the blade, and whether the edge of the blade is smooth or is scalloped or is lobed or has spines or prickles like many of the roses do. And then you'll also lastly want to know and notice whether it has some sort of lobes. Here's some other good examples of lobing. And how many there are, and whether those lobes themselves have additional lobes within them. Okay, well that's my basic rundown of what you should notice when you're sketching leaves and when you're desiring to identify the species of the leaf you're sketching. All right, good luck and have fun.